When we think of serial killers, certain names come to mind: Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and more. But who are the most prolific? And how does the infamous Ted Bundy compare to the real monsters of the world? Today, we're counting down the most prolific serial killers in history, starting with a name you probably know and ending with one that will shock you: Ted Bundy of the United States. Victims: 30 confirmed. Ted Bundy is often the first name that comes to mind when Americans think of serial killers. Known for his charm, Bundy lured women by pretending to be injured or impersonating authority figures, then brutally attacked and killed them. His intelligence and good looks helped him evade suspicion for years. A law student and aspiring politician, Bundy's seemingly normal persona made his crimes even more terrifying. He abducted, assaulted, and murdered women across several states. Bundy's reign of terror came to an end in 1978 when a police officer noticed a suspicious car in Florida. Bundy famously escaped from custody twice before being recaptured and eventually executed in 1989. Ahmad Suradji of Indonesia. Victims: 42 confirmed. Ahmad Suradji, an Indonesian cattle breeder, committed one of the most bizarre series of murders in history. Believing he could gain supernatural powers by killing women and drinking their saliva, Suradji lured his victims by pretending to be a healer. Suradji's ritual killings took place near his home in sugarcane fields, where police later found the bodies of his victims. Suradji was caught after police discovered his connection to the murdered women, leading to his arrest in 1997. He was sentenced to death and executed by firing squad in 2008. Samuel Little of the United States. Victims: 60 confirmed, claims over 90. Samuel Little is America's deadliest confirmed serial killer. He targeted marginalized women, often sex workers, strangling them and leaving their bodies to go unnoticed for years. A former boxer, Little's violent past made him a powerful predator. He was arrested multiple times, but it wasn't until 2012 that DNA evidence linked him to his crimes. In 2012, Little was arrested on a minor charge, and his DNA linked him to multiple unsolved murders. Little eventually confessed to over 90 murders, claiming he killed women across 19 states. Gary Ridgway of the United States. Victims: 49 confirmed, possibly more than 90. Gary Ridgway terrorized Washington state for decades, targeting sex workers and vulnerable women. He was methodical, often strangling his victims and disposing of their bodies along the Green River. Ridgway led a double life as a married man and a truck painter, blending into society while committing a horrific string of murders. Ridgway was arrested in 2001 after DNA evidence connected him to several of the Green River murders. He confessed to killing 71 women, though only 49 have been confirmed. Andrei Chikatilo of the Soviet Union. Victims: 52 confirmed. Andrei Chikatilo, one of the Soviet Union's most notorious serial killers, was known for his brutal killings of women and children. His crimes sent shockwaves through the USSR. Chikatilo worked as a teacher and factory worker, evading suspicion despite accusations of inappropriate behavior. He was arrested in 1990 after a long investigation that eventually led police to him. He confessed to 52 murders and was executed by firing squad in 1994. Yang Xinhai of China. Victims: 67 confirmed. Yang Xinhai is China's most prolific serial killer, known for his brutal home invasions where he murdered entire families using blunt objects. Xinhai lived a transient life, moving from city to city and killing at random, leaving a trail of death behind him. He was caught in 2003 during a routine police check and confessed to the killings. Xinhai was executed in 2004. Pedro Rodrigues Filho of Brazil. Victims 71 confirmed. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, Brazil's most infamous serial killer, is known for targeting criminals. In his twisted form of vigilante justice, Filho claimed to rid the world of bad people, including his own father. Filho's early life was filled with violence, and he started killing at a young age. Despite being imprisoned, he continued to kill fellow inmates, adding to his body count. He was arrested in 1973 and has spent most of his life behind bars. Despite his claims of killing over 100 people, 71 murders have been confirmed. Daniel Camargo Barbosa of Colombia. Victims 72 confirmed. Daniel Camargo Barbosa was a Colombian serial killer who preyed on young girls. He escaped from prison in Colombia and continued his killing spree in Ecuador. Camargo's troubled childhood and failed relationships are often cited as catalysts for his violent tendencies. He was arrested in Ecuador in 1986 after being caught fleeing a murder scene. Camargo confessed to the murders of 72 girls and was killed in prison by another inmate. Mikhail Popkov of Russia. Victims 78 confirmed. Mikhail Popkov used his position as a police officer to lure women into his car, only to kill them in the most brutal ways. His ability to evade suspicion as a trusted officer allowed him to continue killing for nearly 2 decades. Popkov's crimes remained a mystery until DNA evidence linked him to multiple murders in 2012. He later confessed to killing 78 women, though some believe the number could be higher. Popkov was finally arrested in 2012 after a DNA test confirmed his involvement. His confessions revealed the extent of his horrific crimes. Javed Iqbal of Pakistan. Victims 100 confirmed. Javed Iqbal is one of Pakistan's most notorious killers, responsible for the deaths of 100 boys. He lured street children into his home, where he strangled and dismembered them. Iqbal claimed he was seeking revenge on society, leaving behind a letter confessing to the murders and detailing his reasons. Iqbal turned himself in to police, confessing to the crimes. He was sentenced to death but died in custody under mysterious circumstances. Pedro Alonso Lopez, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru. Victims 110 confirmed, suspected of over 300. Pedro Alonso Lopez, known as the Monster of the Andes, confessed to killing over 300 girls across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. His horrific crimes spanned over a decade, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in history. Lopez's early life was marked by extreme violence and abuse. His crimes were fueled by his hatred for women, especially young girls. Lopez was finally arrested in Ecuador in 1980 after attempting to abduct a girl. He confessed to the murders, but shockingly, he was released in 1998 due to Ecuador's lack of resources for mental health treatment. Luis Garavito of Colombia. Victims 138 confirmed, suspected of over 300. Luis Garavito is responsible for one of the most gruesome killing sprees in history, targeting young boys across Colombia. Known as La Bestia, or the Beast, Garavito tortured, assaulted, and killed hundreds of children. Garavito's childhood was filled with abuse, and he grew into one of the world's most terrifying killers. He was finally caught in 1999 after a boy managed to escape and lead authorities to his hideout. Garavito confessed to the murders and was sentenced to 1,153 years in prison. though he may serve only 30 years due to Colombian law. Harold Shipman of the United Kingdom. Victims: 218 confirmed, possibly over 250. The top spot goes to Harold Shipman, a British doctor who killed at least 218 of his patients over 2 decades, making him the most prolific confirmed serial killer in history. Most of his victims were elderly women, whom he killed by administering lethal doses of painkillers. Shipman was a respected family doctor, which allowed him to murder with impunity. His crimes went undetected for years because his patients trusted him completely. Suspicion arose when the death rate among Shipman's patients became unusually high. In 1998, he was caught after forging a patient's will. Shipman was sentenced to life in prison but committed suicide in 2004. Serial killers have plagued societies across the globe, but few are as prolific or terrifying as those on this list. While names like Ted Bundy are infamous, the sheer scale of killers like Harold Shipman and Luis Garavito remind us that true evil often hides in plain sight. Which of these killers surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into true crime. Stay curious and stay safe.